All right, hey guys, welcome to week two. This week we're dealing with Karl Marx. Um, Most Americans hate Karl Marx, so I'm gonna not make the argument that you shouldn't, but I am gonna make the argument that he's misunderstood. Um, Marx, what we're gonna be getting to for this week is that the pattern that he's concerned with is inequality. Everybody else last week was kind of talking about how equality was the wave of the future. Tocqueville said it's unstoppable. Marx is going to have something to say about that. Comte said we need to study society so that we can reform it. It's going to evolve, and we want to put in the right reforms. Marx said, no, that's not what we're doing. It's about revolution. All right, so just a quick rewind to last week. We kind of built up to this idea that from the 1800s forward is a completely new phase of human history. It's the phase where sociology is actually something that's important to study because things fall apart. We've got the Enlightenment, which tells us that we're going to make progress, humans are going to be central, and then everything really becomes a disaster with the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. But the three theorists that we really focused on last week most were Auguste Comte, who was the first person to say, look, society's got some sort of disorder, but we can study it scientifically. It seems to be an organism. And the relationship between the organs seems to be necessary to create order. He was all about trying to figure out order. And that we need a common moral sense in order to create that order. If everybody's united with the same morality, then we can restore order. Tocqueville also wants to restore order, but he is a little bit more skeptical about it. He said equality has been let loose, and the problem is not just the relationships between the organs, but any particular organ can be set up in a way that is going to maximize freedom or minimize freedom by either centralizing power or diffusing power. And then we had Harriet Martineau, who came along and said, she said, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Tocqueville, that a particular organ can be disorderly or not disorderly, but it's also possible that the entire thing can be disorderly. She had the concept of anomalies, that we have this certain set of morals, beliefs, that don't go along with this set of manners, or the term that we would come to, that sociology will embrace, which is norms. So that kind of catches us up where we are when Karl Marx enters. And Karl Marx looks around, looks at Comte, looks at Tocqueville, looks at Martineau, and says, what are you talking about? Restore order? We've got massive suffering, and it's suffering without famine. It's suffering without war. We have peaceful societies that have people living incredibly horrible lives. Martineau, you want to talk about anomalies? How about we've created all this equality, and yet we've got so much poverty that people are dying in the streets. We've got all kinds of freedom. Yeah, we've let that loose with the Enlightenment. But how come people aren't free to leave their jobs and go find another way of life? They're dying in horrible working conditions. So much for freedom. He says, what else does he say? He says, in addition to just how horrible the working conditions are, the actual work that people are doing is mindless and alienating, and he hates everything. Karl Marx is the original angry man screaming at the system. So if that kind of fits you, you won't find this week too bad. So that is where he fits in with regard to the previous theorists we've looked at. His main interest, the main thing he's going to be looking at is inequality. And inequality we often think about, nowadays we'll think race, gender, and class. He's thinking mostly about class, but he's not thinking about it only financially. I mentioned the word alienation a moment ago, which is a term that I'll define for you more, or I'll go into more detail about it in subsequent lectures. For right now, alienation, according to Marx, is an inability to have a fulfilling life. The idea that we have these capacities that Karl Marx believed we are creative and we are social. And the system that we've been put into in the 19th century makes it impossible. It pounds that out of us. It leaves us not just impoverished, like financially, but impoverished like in our souls. We can't live up to what we are supposed to be as people. So he's enraged at the fact that we've been allowed to have lives that are like this. And so what's he going to do is the question. Well, what he's going to do is revolution. His entire point in studying society is to look at where are the weak points. So I want to understand society so that I can change it. Well, for him, so he can overthrow it. So keep that in mind as we go through the next lectures. What we're going to be doing is he's going to be, again, just like the other theorists, he is going to be kind of trying to get a sense of what this invisible society thing that has so much influence over our lives is, but he doesn't want to study it to restore some order. He wants to figure out where its weak points are so that he can overthrow the whole thing. All right, that's it for our introduction. Next time, what we're going to do is start out with his perspective on studying society. So I will see you in the next video to talk about that.